Have you ever met someone and felt an instant, unexplainable connection? That's exactly what happened to Yan Dan. After a bit of a mishap, Yumo, instead of getting angry, just gently told her to get some rest. His concern warmed her heart, making her feel like they'd met somewhere before, though she just couldn't place it. Yumo, for his own reasons, couldn't reveal the truth. Overwhelmed with gratitude and this strange familiarity, Yan Dan spontaneously knelt and pledged her loyalty to him, vowing to follow him. To her absolute delight, Yumo agreed to journey with her through the mortal realm. She was so happy she couldn't stop smiling, already dreaming up ideas for a heart-wrenching play to write. The next morning, Yan Dan woke up early to collect fresh flour due to make tea for Yumo. By the river, she saw a group of fisherwomen, their lives simple and content as they cast their nets. A wave of envy washed over her, but the peaceful scene was shattered when the local bully, Zhou Shanren, and his thugs arrived. They started harassing the women, and Yan Dan, never one to stand by, decided to intervene. She put on a flirtatious act, deliberately drawing the bully's attention to herself. It worked. Zhou Shanren, completely smitten, ordered his men to take her and the other women back to his mansion.
As they were being led away, Yan Dan cleverly dropped a single lotus petal by the river.
A small clue she hoped someone would find. And someone did. Shortly after, the demon hunter Tangzhou arrived at the riverbank. His keen senses immediately picked up a foul, demonic aura. He deduced that some demon was preying on mortals and began his investigation right away. Meanwhile, at the mansion, Zhou Shanren was promising Yan Dan a life of luxury, telling her to serve him well. But Yan Dan had other plans. She used her powers to teach him a lesson and quickly freed the captive fisherwomen. During the scuffle, she made a startling discovery. Zhou Shanren wasn't human at all, but a toad demon in disguise. Realizing her own power wasn't enough to defeat him, she switched tactics. She pretended to submit, even offering to give him her demonic essence to trick him into letting his guard down. Just as the toad demon believed her lies, Yumo burst in. It turns out, Yan Dan had been counting on him. She had known he would come for her.
With a triumphant smile, she asked him to deal with the bully. For you, Mo, it was an easy task.
He effortlessly forced Zhou Shanren back into his true toad form. Yan Dan was overjoyed, but Yumo wasn't. He was upset, complaining that she shouldn't have used her charms to seduce the demon, even if it was a trick. Yan Dan tried her best to explain that it was the only way, but Yumo remained sullen. To make it up to him, she went out to buy his favorite white jade cakes. On her way back, she spotted two scoundrels bullying an old woman. Yan Dan couldn't resist. Hiding nearby, she secretly used her powers to make the two thugs start slapping each other, thoroughly enjoying the show.
But her use of demonic energy didn't go unnoticed.
Tangzhou, who happened to be passing by, immediately detected the strong aura. He pinpointed Yan Dan and, with a flick of his wrist, trapped her in a 1,000-mile demon-subduing array. Caught, Yan Dan had to think fast.
She shouted that she'd found silver on the ground, tricking the two greedy scoundrels into stepping into the array.
As soon as a mortal entered, the trap dissolved, and Yan Dan seized the opportunity to escape. But Tangzhou was relentless. He pursued her through the streets until she had nowhere left to run. Desperate, she disguised herself as a little boy and quickly set up a stall, hoping to blend in. I threw her disguise and slapped a binding talisman on her, trapping her once again. Yan Dan pleaded, insisting she was just doing a good deed by punishing bullies, but Tangzhou wasn't listening. So coldly threatened to refine her into a pill. She remembered a past run-in with this demon hunter and knew she was in serious trouble this time. Panic set in. Back at their inn, Yumo found a note on the table. Yan Dan had written that she was just stepping out to buy him a late-night snack. He waited and waited. As the night turned into dawn and she still hadn't returned, a knot of worry tightened in his stomach.
He knew something was wrong. Rushing out, he headed for a peculiar snack shop in town.
This wasn't just any shop. It was an information hub. Customers could buy a plate of snacks, write down a question, and miraculously receive an answer. When Yumo arrived, he saw there was only one plate of snacks left, and just as he was about to grab it, he realized someone else was there for the exact same reason. Tangzhou. The two rivals, both searching for Yan Dan, were about to face off, with only one chance to get the information.
Yan Dan heard Yumo's voice and cried out for help, but only Tangzhou could hear her.
Tangzhou advised Yan Dan to give up. She decided to endure it for the time being, waiting for Yumo to rescue her, and then write this experience into a grand drama that would be passed down through the ages. Tangzhou decided to go to the Niangyang tomb in Qingxi town next to find the artifact to repair his fairy clothes. With nothing to do, he chatted with Yan Dan. Yan Dan tried her best to please him, but Tangzhou felt that Yan Dan was cunning and quick-witted, definitely not a kind person. Yan Dan desperately defended herself and spoke up for those kind little demons. Tangzhou didn't believe her at all. He had been deceived by little demons before and was determined to subdue all demons and monsters.
Yumo, along with Zai Lin, Lin Lang, and Bai Ling, chased after Yan Dan all the way to the town.
They discovered traces of the demon hunter using a 1,000-year-old demon subduing array.
Worried that Yan Dan was in danger,
Yumo asked Bai Ling to send the Wolf Clan to the Ling Shao sect to search for Yan Dan's whereabouts.
Tangzhou was taking a bath when Yan Dan pleaded with him to release her, promising to help him. Tangzhou had no choice but to release her. Upon seeing Tangzhou bathing, Yan Dan cursed him as a rogue and quickly covered her face.
In a fit of anger, Tangzhou put her back into the gourd.
That night, two thieves sneaked into Tangzhou's room, drugged him, and intended to kill him to silence him. They noticed the small gourd was exquisite and decided to steal it to sell.
They opened the gourd, and Yan Dan seized the opportunity to emerge.
The two thieves were terrified and fled. Tangzhou was still half asleep when Yan Dan tried to ambush him. Suddenly, Tangzhou woke up, and Yan Dan vividly recounted her heroic act of driving away the thieves, begging Tangzhou not to put her back in the gourd. Tangzhou reluctantly agreed. Tangzhou brought Yan Dan to town early in the morning. Yan Dan learned gold and silver treasures when they had nowhere to go. The monarch killed the concubine and built a tomb for her, turning her into a vengeful ghost to guard the gold and silver treasures. Yan Dan originally wanted to take the opportunity to slip away, but she also wanted to write the story of the concubine into a play, so she decided to accompany Tangzhou to the tomb of the goddess. Yan Dan and Tangzhou found the tomb of the goddess. The three brothers, Qi Hu, Qi Niyu, and Qi Bo, had been waiting for a long time. The martial arts heroes Jin Hongmian and Qin Mingyang also came because of their reputation. Because the tomb of the goddess is very yin, people who enter the tomb must go in groups. The seven of them agreed to enter the tomb together. The tombstone of the goddess was covered with a thick layer of dust. Yan Dan wiped it clean little by little with her hands. The tombstone was engraved with "Those who disturb my tomb shall be punished," and below it were a few lines of smaller characters. Life is the gate of death. Death is the place of life. The tomb gate leads to the gate of ghosts. Those who disturb my dreams shall have no bones to return. Yan Dan was so frightened that she hesitated to go in. Qin Mingyang thought it was just a scare tactic. So he took the lead and entered the tomb first, with the others following closely behind.
The group of seven arrived at the deepest part of the tomb, where a hidden world awaited.
Several lifelike stone statues of maidens guarded the tomb, and Qi Niu couldn't help but stop to admire them. Qi Niu suddenly went mad, as if under a spell, brandishing a sword and stabbing at Qi. And Jin Hongmian and Qin Mingyang also joined the fight. Yan Dan screamed in fright. Tangzhou discovered an extremely sinister aura in the tomb, and the maid statues formed a kind of formation.
He told Yan Dan to stay where she was, and hurriedly went forward to see what was going on.
Jin Hongmian pressed Tangzhou relentlessly, and Tangzhou fought back desperately. Suddenly, Jin Hongmian's eyes emitted a blinding red light, catching Tangzhou off guard. Jin Hongmian transformed into a concubine, declaring she would kill everyone who entered the tomb. With a flick of her sleeve, she conjured for identical concubines. Tangzhou saw Jin, Homian, now the tomb's owner, and concubine, declare that she should hate the king who killed her. The concubine forbade anyone from touching her treasures, threatening immediate death if they did. Yan Dan, worried that Tangzhou was under a spell, immediately covered his eyes. Preview had gone berserk after looking into the statue's eyes, so she quickly covered Tangzhou's eyes. Worried about being trapped again, Tangzhou wanted to get Yan Dan out quickly, only to find that everyone else was gone. The stone statues kept changing positions. Yan Dan noticed that the tomb was round, so she told Tangzhou to close his eyes. She pulled Tangzhou around the stone statues and out of the soul misdirection array. Tangzhou and Yan Dan carefully searched for the exit, when Qin Mingyang suddenly jumped out. His hair he had been disfigured by the magic of the soul misdirection array. Tangzhou knew he would die soon, and wanted to give him a quick death, but Yan Dan couldn't bear it and quickly stopped Tangzhou, knocking Qin Mingyang unconscious. Yan Dan and Tangzhou continued forward, encountering a large wall with a portrait of the imperial concubine painted on it. Fearing Tangzhou might be bewitched again, Yan Dan quickly covered his eyes. Tangzhou discovered that behind the portrait lay the legendary Bagua 8 trigrams formation. Suddenly, Qin Mingyang jumped out and pressed the switch on the Bagua formation,
causing Yan Dan and Tangzhou to fall into the trap.
As Yan Dan tried to get up, countless bats flew past them.
Seeing that the bats were still alive, she deduced that they could find the exit to safety here. Yan Dan and Tangzhou quickly found the exit to safety in the tomb.
Yan Dan was actually grateful for Qin Mingyang's distressed Chaolin when his subordinate, Il Heng, burst in with alarming news. The alchemy room had been utterly destroyed. Ao Zhuan, ever the sharp one, immediately asked Haitian. Ao Zhuan ordered Yu Hang to mobilize his forces and find Yu Mo, no matter what it took. As Yu Hang rushed off to carry out his orders, Chaolan watched his retreating figure. A seed of suspicion and doubt planted firmly in her mind. Something about the situation felt off, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. Back in the mortal realm, Tangzhou, with Yan Dan in tow, arrived at the Grand Shin residence.
They were greeted by Master Shen, a man clearly burdened by work.
Dan were given a room to share. But the chivalry ended there. As night fell, Tangzhou pointed to the floor and told Yan Dan that was her bed for the night. Yan Dan was absolutely livid. First, he uses her as a shield to fend off an unwanted marriage proposal. And now he's making her sleep on the cold, hard floor. She tried to argue, concocting a story about how she sleepwalks if she gets a chill, hoping to guilt him into giving her the bed. But Tangzhou wasn't buying it for a second. Defeated, Yan Dan begrudgingly settled down on the floor and tried to sleep. In the dead of night, a faint, sorrowful sound woke Yan Dan from her slumber. It was the sound of a woman crying. Spooked, she immediately scrambled to wake up Tangzhou, demanding half of his heart. He woke with a jolt, covered in a cold sweat, only to find Yan Dan right on top of him, shaking him awake. His heart pounded in his chest, and his first thought was that Yan Dan had cast some sort of spell on him,
making him have such a terrifying dream.
Yan Dan, oblivious to his internal panic, told him about the crying she heard. When they went outside to investigate, they saw a peculiar sight. Someone was creating a spooky display with floating phosphorescent lights.
Yan Dan called Tangzhou over to see.
Suddenly, their investigation was violently interrupted. A masked man dressed entirely in black leaped from the shadows, launching a swift and brutal attack. Without a second thought, Tangzhou and Yan Dan joined forces, their movements surprisingly in sync as they fought back against the mysterious assailant. The man in black was relentless, pressing his attack specifically towards Yan Dan. Just as he was about to land a blow, Tangzhou intercepted, pushing him back and eventually forcing the attacker to retreat into the darkness. Worried that the fight might have injured him, Yan Dan instinctively placed her hand on Tangzhou's chest, checking to see if his heart meridian had been damaged. The sudden touch sent a jolt through Tangzhou. Her hand on his chest brought back the vivid image from his nightmare. The woman demanding half his heart, The sensation and the memory left him feeling completely dazed and confused. Just as they were about to head back inside, a new mystery presented. Oh, and Yan Dan immediately went to the well to investigate. Yan Dan peered down, but the well was completely dry and empty. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary at first glance.
But Tangzhou, with his keen demon hunter's eye, noticed something disturbed on the patch of grass next to the well.
Upon closer inspection, he uncovered not one, but two buried corpses. He instantly recognized one of them as Jin Hongmian, a person they had known. The most shocking part was the state of the body. Overnight, her flesh had completely decomposed, leaving behind nothing but a pile of bones. Tangzhou's expression grew grim. This was no ordinary decay. He knew with certainty that this was the work of powerful and sinister evil here. And can Tangzhou and Yan Dan save Shen Shanjun before it's too late? It looks like things are about to get even more intense. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for our next update. See you then!